Taiwan scrambles jets after a record number of Chinese planes enter the country's ADIZ. The US calls China's move provocative. Hello again. North Korea reconnects the hotline to South Korea. But is this really a sign of warming relations? A breath of fresh air. From tomorrow, Taiwan's mask mandate lifts for some outdoor activities. We tell you how this picture of a mountain has put Taiwan's foreign ministry in a precarious position. A warm welcome to TaiwanPlus News. I'm Yin Khvat. Taiwan has accused Beijing of engaging in military aggression and damaging regional peace after a record number of Chinese military flights into its air defense identification zone. The US has called on China to stop its provocative military activity. Washington urged Beijing to halt all forms of coercion against Taiwan. Last week, China had been showcasing its homegrown weaponry in the run-up to its National Day on Friday. Over the past 3 days, a total of 93 PLA fighter jets entered Taiwan's southwestern ADIZ. The incursion on Saturday set a record for the highest number of planes in a single day since Taiwan's defense ministry made the information public. Well, on Sunday, Chinese state media called the incursions a declaration of China's sovereignty over Taiwan. The Global Times linked it to celebrations for the 72nd anniversary of the founding of the People's Republic of China. In an editorial, the news site, seen as a Communist Party mouthpiece, said the Chinese People's Liberation Army has done an excellent job. This can be seen as a form of the National Day military parade in the Taiwan Straits, which used to be held at the Tiananmen Square in Beijing. It is a clear and unmistakable declaration of China's sovereignty over the island. Our reporter Jaime Ocon spoke to Victor Liao, Director of International and Cross-Strait Relations News at our partner Taiwan's Central News Agency. He asked him what was behind the latest incursions.
I believe it will keep going on, and at the National Day of China, both China and Taiwan. And in terms of the U.S. side, it carefully mentioned about the 3 communiques, Taiwan Relations Act and 6 assurances. That's the usual U.S. officers would like to say. It's sort of the balance in between Beijing and Taipei. But this time, I believe for both parties in the U.S., they gradually accept the 6 assurances are very important. That means the arms sales to Taiwan is not going to change. It's going to be on the table all the time. And that also caused the military action from China because of this issue.
So the U.S. has recently called out China on its provocative military activities. What kind of a reaction can we expect from this?
We didn't see the one China policy, the 3 words, which we could see frequently in State Department's paper or White House statements. That means U.S. definitely don't think PLA's actions towards Taipei, this kind of actions, has anything to do with the sovereignty issue, and they separately diplomatic and the military action of the Beijing toward Taipei. They handle it carefully. I can see it.
Every time that there's an incursion, Taiwan has to scramble in order to manage the situation. How is this putting stress on Taiwan's military?
Taiwan's Air Forces has to respond. And it caused a lot of pressure, I believe. But politically, it's hard to say what people are going to see it. I believe the people in Taiwan think it's kind of frequent issues and then have to deal with it every day. So they might not have the action. Maybe the international community will expect it to happen. So that's something special in Taiwan, I believe.
Should Taiwan expect more of these record amount of incursions in the future?
Taiwan have to prepare for the scenarios like this more frequently. And because that's a part of the China's strategy, through South China Sea and the West Pacific region.
Now, the record incursions come at a time when the US is increasingly showing support for Taiwan. The Biden administration is reportedly considering allowing Taiwan to change the name of its representative office in Washington to include Taiwan instead of Taipei, a move that would anger Beijing. Steve Chabot, a US congressman and member of the House Foreign Affairs Subcommittee on Asia, told our partner, the Central News Agency, that he feels the name change could happen.
I think the majority would like to see that happen. We're not there yet, but I'm going to continue to work on that until we get it done. It's very hard to put a date on these kind of things because there are so many moving parts, and we know that China will push back on this as they do everything else. So I'm cautiously optimistic.
In Taiwan, from tomorrow, people can go maskless for some outdoor activities. But as Sandy Chi reports, even though the pandemic situation at home is improving, the government warns people to remain cautious and is taking steps to prevent a resurgence.
For many in Taiwan, it will be a breath of fresh air. Everyone has been wearing masks since a mandate was imposed in May due to spike in COVID-19. From Tuesday, farmers and visitors to forests and beaches are free to go maskless as long as they can ensure social distancing. But it will still be necessary to have a mask on hand.
到现在的疫情维持稳定上山下海的这一部分先予以开放，身上还是要戴着一个口罩万一有人来了或像有一个人互相会有接触的时候，那还是要把口罩戴起来。
With local cases at 0 or single digits in recent weeks, and a vaccination drive well underway, many are waiting for more easing of the restrictions in the coming weeks. To date, almost 60% of Taiwan's population has received a first dose of COVID-19 vaccine, while around 12% are fully vaccinated. The CECC is considering purchasing a new revealed antiviral pill. US drug maker Merck announced that its drug can reduce the risk of hospitalization or death from COVID-19. The company said it plans to submit an application for emergency use authorization in the US and abroad. It is a potentially major breakthrough in the efforts to fight the pandemic. However, experts caution that the medicine cannot replace vaccinations. Chris Ma and Sandy Chi for TaiwanPlus.
North Korea has restored its emergency hotline with the South, officially opening up communications between the two sides. Pyongyang previously reactivated the hotline in July for the first time in a year. It then severed the hotline again 2 weeks later in protest over South Korea's military exercises with the US. North Korean state media said the reconnection is conditional on Seoul making positive efforts to improve ties. They did not explain what these efforts would look like. Since the hotline was established in 1971, the North has disconnected it 7 times. Sean King is an affiliated scholar at the University of Notre Dame's Leo Institute and senior vice president at Park Strategies. I asked what Pyongyang's motives were.
Well, it's sending out multiple messages to multiple listeners. And first of all, to South Korea, it knows it has a nationalist left president in Moon Jae-in who is desperate to leave any kind of legacy of reconciliation with the North. So they're stringing him along, saying that he's nice and tries to get the U.S. to ease up on sanctions. Maybe they'll have another summit and even reopen the liaison office in Kaesong that they had blown up last year. So you see they've restarted the hotlines today, which really is unnecessary because if they want, they could just lift up the receiver and call from Pyongyang to Seoul or call each other's embassy in either country where they both have diplomatic relations. So that's kind of a show. To the US, they're saying, we'll talk, but only if you stop your so-called hostile policy, which they take to mean our sanctions against them and our military joint exercises with South Korea. In Pyongyang, that U.S. troops are only in South Korea because North Korea attacked the South in 1950. In fact, it was after U.S. troops had left the South that North Korea launched its offensive.
And what would be a red line in terms of the missile testing that North Korea is carrying out?
Well, any line should be red or at least orange from the US point of view, because even if it's a medium or short range missile, as the most recent tests have been, they endanger and imperil our treaty allies, Japan and South Korea, as well as US forces, citizens, and dependents there. But I think the effective red line with the US, left over from the Trump days, would be an actual nuke test and or another ICBM launch, as we saw in 2017. The fact that North Korea has not gone that route yet suggests to me that they still are, in fact, open to talks with the Biden administration. They just want to see how much they can get Moon to get out of us before they agree to that. And also, they have their eye on the March 9th South Korean presidential election, because if a conservative wins that, all bets are off, and you're going to have a very new approach from Seoul that would probably be a lot more in line with Washington.
Let's take a look at some of the news making headlines around the world. A Southern California mayor is warning of an environmental catastrophe after a major oil leak from an offshore pipeline. Over 126,000 gallons of oil have already spilled into the ocean off Huntington Beach, turning parts of the city's coastline jet black. Beaches were shut on Sunday as clumps of oil dried on the sand and dead fish and birds began to wash up on shore. The pipeline is owned by Houston-based Amplify Energy Corporation. So far, only 1,200 gallons of oily water have been removed from the ocean. A worldwide investigation has exposed the ways rich and connected individuals use illicit financial practices to hide their wealth and avoid taxes. The investigation, dubbed the Pandora Papers, is one of the largest in history. Close to 12 million documents reveal the secretive transactions of over 35 current and former world leaders. Russian President Vladimir Putin, former British Prime Minister Tony Blair, and the King of Jordan are among those implicated in the files. The documents show how high-worth individuals use tax havens, offshore companies, and shadow financial services to protect their wealth. Hong Kong's largest independent trade union has voted to disband under political pressure. The decades-old Hong Kong Confederation of Trade Unions passed the resolution to officially dissolve on Sunday. It is the latest of over 50 civil society and labour groups to disappear in Hong Kong since Beijing imposed the national security law last year. Vice Chairman Leo Tang called it a heartbreaking decision. Coming up, we take you through the life cycle of one of Taiwan's most elusive amphibians, the emerald frog. Stay with us after the break.
最有人情味的地方。
Welcome back to TaiwanPlus News. A reminder of our top story. Taiwan has accused Beijing of engaging in military aggression and damaging regional peace after a record number of PLA flights into its ADIZ over the weekend. The US has called on Beijing to stop its provocative military activity. But Chinese state media called the incursions a declaration of China's sovereignty over Taiwan. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs found itself on a slippery slope this weekend after a mistake in its National Day promotional video. The ministry included footage of a mountain in the Swiss Alps and claimed it was Taiwan's highest peak. Rick Glowett has more.
Does something look odd about this image of Mount Jade? That's probably because this is not Mount Jade at all. It's a peak in Switzerland. The mountain on the right is the real Mount Jade. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs wrongly labelled stock footage of Schäfler Mountain in the Swiss Alps as Taiwan's highest peak, Mount Jade, in a video released this weekend. Mountaineers were among the first to spot the monumental blunder, and as social media chatter reached its peak, MOFA apologised and took action. They hastily pulled down the offending videos, produced in 13 different languages, and swapped in correct footage of the famous mountain.
外交部代表的是我们国家的门面，制作的影像也是代表我们国家向外宣传。犯下这种不应该犯的错，外交部应该确确实实的检讨内部的稽核制度。
This is not the first embarrassing climb down by MOFA. In 2017, the ministry was forced to recall 550,000 passports after they wrongly printed photos of Dulles Airport in Washington, D.C. rather than Taiwan's Taoyuan Airport. Peachy Chuang and Rick Glowett for TaiwanPlus.
From one peak to another, here's a preview of our four-part docuseries, Island of Mountains. Follow four young climbers as they take us on a journey through Taiwan's famous mountain ranges.
所以你觉得山给了你什么？
没有办法用几句简短的话语来带过，但它造就现在的我。
山就是给了一个我们远离世俗的环境，你可以忘记很多事情。
不要怕去探索新的东西吧。
很深层的去认识一块土地，去认识一个很深邃的自然。
在山的面前，只会一直感觉到自己的渺小。
每一次都有不同的考验哦。妈妈表现怎么样？
很好，10分坚强。
山是有魔力的地方。那如果今天不让你爬山，你觉得你会死？
生命肯定会延续下去，但我想心灵有一部分会枯萎掉了。
Taiwan's varied landscapes are home to many fascinating creatures, none more so than a species of frog that lives high in the forest canopy. Found near sources of fresh water, the emerald tree frog undertakes quite a journey to survive. Children climbing trees, claw machines in the classroom. It doesn't sound like your typical Taiwanese elementary school, but these are just two alternative teaching tools that are already being used to inspire students.
It might be hard to believe, but these kids are in class. Yuanzhang Elementary School has hired a tree climbing coach. The school director says the classes are designed to help students develop physical and mental strength. And they are fun too.
有些人很喜欢运动，可是他爬树不一定很 OK 哦，因为他身体的协调性并不是很好。那所以爬树也可以让他了解身体的一些律动跟这样处理事情的一个步骤。
Another school is using a very different means to motivate students: a claw machine.
我们只要考英文得很高分就可以玩。
所以会让你更努力吗？啊，你平常家里有没有玩具？
没有。
为什么？
不会长大。
那爸爸妈妈会不会买玩具给你？
Principal Xie Yichen spent 6,000 Taiwan dollars or $215 US of his own money to buy the machine. He supplies the prizes himself.
现用这个方法，真的是吸引出孩子很多愿意去 背诵这样子，背诵英文单字，或者是甚至背诵我们花莲县读经本的一些策略。那我发现孩子因为这样子引起他们的学习动机，我觉得这是一个很不错的一个媒介。
The principal says rural schools like Chongde have fewer resources at their disposal. Therefore, the students are eager to grab any extra opportunities the school can provide. Asnaya Zhou and Ken Ning for TaiwanPlus.
Now it's World Animal Day, and to mark the occasion, Taipei Zoo is opening previously hidden facilities to the public for the first time. Visitors get a sneak peek into the life of a zookeeper. Raising healthy chicks is no easy task. It requires careful monitoring of high-tech equipment and delicate care. The secrets of this process are now being revealed with the opening of the facility's breeding and incubation rooms. Thanks for watching TaiwanPlus. To celebrate World Animal Day, we leave you with images of a drive-through blessing event for pets in the Philippines. Stay safe and see you next time.